Well, hello everyone. As you come in, today is July 3rd, 2021. I do believe it's Saturday. And after the concert last night, I felt like this would probably be a good follow up. Hello, as you come in. Hello. A friend asked me to do more of my travel videos because, like I said last night during the concerts, so many people are housebound or neighborhood bound or whatever, and they're not able to get out as much as they'd like. Plus, you get to see kind of different areas, and I've shown this place before, but from a different angle. So I thought I'd do this morning. Yeah, I thought it was a great concert too. They were an excellent band. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm sorry that my battery ran out during that one song and that we missed half the next one, which was a Toto song, but technical difficulties. I should have found a closer plug to plug my phone in so that it wouldn't do that, but it still worked out pretty well. Anyway, you might wonder why I'm labeling this what I am. And I thought I'd tell you a story. A lot of you have seen the video when I did the tribute to Bettina, that little thing that came fluttering through there. And actually, there was more to it than that, as some of the people who have analyzed the video have looked at. Not only was the apparent one that came in from the left, kind of circled around me, went over me, and then went out again where it came in. But there's also apparently some other things in there, and I think it's Michael Powell who did one of those, and also Texas Girl did some analyzing on that. And there's some other activity going on there. Uh, Apparently, that little fluttery thing also went up the staff of the American flag um, on the Freedom Shrine plaque, and also there was an orb, I guess, that came in, and those are hard to see in daylight. They usually are, but they're still visible. And again, I didn't notice any of that when I was videotaping. But I know, uh, it's hard to say what those things were. But I thought I'd kind of explain something this morning and tell you a little story uh, about an incident that happened to me back 13 years ago, probably this month, or maybe in August, but it was sometime back then. And what it, what it's about is that, messages from the other side don't necessarily have to be ethereal. They can use natural things here to convey a message, and they often do. So whether that was that actual spirit uh, entity, a form of the male messenger, MAIL messenger, like I was explaining, which are real, whether it was something more natural that was being used to convey a message, it works both ways. Uh, Again, I'm not exactly sure what it was. I didn't see any insects, anything like that. Uh, and its movement is definitely telltale. It's like giving a message, so it's being directed one way or the other. I still think that it was something along the lines of a spirit mail message, so to speak, and I've MAIL again, as I explained in my video the other morning when I was sitting in the living room. But let me tell you a story about what happened after my wife Carol died. I had a lot of experiences, and they weren't just bereavement hallucinations. I'm very aware of what those are, and I'm very careful with them. I don't know if you can see that. There are a lot of birds and cranes and storks. and geese and ducks out here. Anyway, so a number of things happened after Carol died, and there were third-party witnesses to those communications and those appearances. So it wasn't just my idea or influencing somebody else. As a matter of fact, I couldn't have influenced the other people because they were in another room when when she came to them after she had come to me. So those things occur. I don't know why they occurred then. It's been a long time since I've had any kind of communication from Carol, and I'm not sure why, and it bothers me. But everything has a time and a place and a season for everything, I guess. But anyway, so it was. She died on June 7, 2008. Isn't that funny? It was only 2 weeks difference between her death and Bettina's as far as the time of month. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Wow. 14 days. To me, that's a gematria indication of something. But that's for another time. What I want to talk about is what happened when I went out camping. It was about 2 months, a month and a half to 2 months after Carol died. I went out camping. I'm going to turn this around so you can see me. Okay, here we go. And I had a camp set up in the mountains. I was up in a canyon because it was hot. It's like July or August, and it was very hot. So I was camping up in the mountains in a canyon with huge peaks on either side of me. And let me come out here a little bit so you can get a little sunshine on me. No, okay. And I had been up there for, I don't know, maybe a day at this point. That's a little bright. Maybe a day. And I was feeling pretty rough. I'm trying, like I am now. I'm out wandering around in nature and going to concerts and even going to pubs. I don't drink heavy. I usually get a thing called a press. They're seltzer water with a little bit of vodka in them, I think, or something. Only about 4%, and they don't bloat me up like beer does. And they're flavored, with fruits. You can get blackberry, you can get ginger, you can get pomegranate. And it's just there so I can be around people. That's all. I don't have any significant other for lots of reasons, not necessarily by choice. But at any rate, back to the story. So I'm up in this canyon camping, and I was up there total for about a week, I think. But so I'm sitting there. It was early morning, and I was feeling pretty rotten. And one of Carol had two favorite birds. No audio, sorry. Anybody else tell me if it's 5x5? I'd appreciate it. I'm not going to spend time explaining things if there's no audio. But so again, I was feeling pretty rough, and like I said, Carol, two favorite birds of hers are bluebirds and hummingbirds. Now, if any of you know, birds are pretty skittish, right? They're not real anxious to get too close to you. Especially hummingbirds. I mean, they'll come down and they'll, if you have some food around or something, like one of those little sugar feeders or something like that, they'll come pretty close. And every once in a while, if your hand is real still and you're holding a cup or something like that, they might come down and land on the cup or attempt to. But what happened is I'm sitting there, and this little female hummingbird comes up to me, flutters off of my left cheek right here, and then comes up and taps her beak on my cheek, and then pulled off, stayed there for, I don't know, a second or two, and then left. Now, that's not natural, right? So Something was guiding that, and of course I think it was Carol. Yeah, a little sign. And you know, there are a lot of other things like that that can happen. So, oops, sorry, I covered the camera lens. Did that last night too. So let me turn this back around so you can see the scenery. So what I'm saying is that natural things can be used to send messages. As I've explained, I've seen Hebrew letters in the clouds, and you know, it doesn't mean it has to be Hebrew. Uh, it could be English, right? I mean, I make a big deal about it when it's Hebrew, but the point is that when it comes out in a Hebrew letter, uh, that means pay attention. That's almost like a vivid, almost waking dream that when you wake up and it seems so real, you can remember every detail. It's not like you have to think about it. You know, it may have been very vivid in color, activity, whatever. Well, that's the same thing with the letters. When I see those and they're just so obvious, I take note. And I've never had one of those happen where it didn't have a significant message that came to pass one way or the other, or that would tell me something that I needed to know at that point. Now, I'm not saying these things happen all the time. I'm just more aware of them. They happen to you too. They happen to you probably more often than you realize, but you're not tuned into it. And I'm tuned into it a little more than most people, I suppose. So I want to thank everybody who looked at those pictures on that part of the video where the little fluttery, luminescent thing is flying around, and the fact that it didn't stay put, but that it came in and went out rather quickly, except for those other things where it was tracing parts of those plaques and things. And then the orb that comes down. By the way, orbs are an indication. Sometimes they're just nothing more than an anomaly in the lens of a camera, but not always. It depends on how they move and a lot of other things. So orbs are often associated with the appearances, and that's not because the spirit is an orb. It's because it's opening up the window into the other side, and you get those orbs because of that. The orb isn't the spirit. The orb is just like the doorway kind of thing. The spirits look like us. They basically look like us. So I'm getting messages about military people doing something. I don't know. I'll check it in a few minutes. So anyway, again, I want to thank everybody that looked at those and analyzed them, regardless of whether it was a totally spiritual, um, like I said, mail messenger, M-A-I-L. I always have to explain that to make sure everybody understands. Or it was something natural that was being directed. At the point that it came in and what it did, it's emphasizing the message and telling us that there's somebody interested in what we're doing. And I do believe that Bettina and God allowed that to happen, whichever way it was. So I just thought I'd bring that up this morning, let you see the place here. Uh, I've shown it to you before, and I won't bore you anymore today. I think there are going to be a lot more signs, and the veil is going to get thinner and thinner from here on for those of us who, you know, there are three classes of people in the scriptures. There's the righteous, the unrighteous, and the wicked, evil really. And it talks about the different types of resurrection, the resurrection of the righteous, the resurrection of the unrighteous, and even the resurrection of the wicked, who then are cast out again, right? I won't say any of those terrible things that happen there, but the meaning between righteous and unrighteous isn't really in our common vernacular today. It means something a little different in the ancient Hebrew. But suffice it to say that even the resurrection of the ones that are considered unrighteous, in other words, the God-fearers that don't quite, manage their lives in a really good manner, respectful manner. They're not evil, they're not bad, they're not destructive, but they may do things that inhibit or make their spiritual progression more difficult. They may hurt others because they're a little envious or jealous or whatever, those kinds of things. That kind of unrighteousness, or that you don't, you don't quite obey the commandments the way you should, that kind of thing. But they still get a resurrection, and they get to have relationships and enjoy things like this, and have a part in whatever comes after this. And it's not floating around on a cloud strumming a harp. If that's God's idea of heaven and eternity, that's pretty unimaginative, and I can't imagine him being that unimaginative and not challenging the spirits and the children that he has created and begotten. So that's my spiel for the Saturday morning. I hope that explains my viewpoint on all of this. As I said the other morning, I also had a little thing from Bettina where she came in and said that she was sleeping and resting. And I talked to Felicia about that, Felicia Lockhart. Why would I get that? I better explain that because some people will probably say, as a matter of fact, I got a question about it yesterday. Some people say, well, why wouldn't she go to the family? Well, maybe she has. I don't know. They're not telling me anything about that. But there's also another reason for it. Is as grief-stricken as I have been, and as Felicia has been. Sometimes the grief or the pain blocks. You're so focused on that I call it a thickness. Your spiritual discernment is thick. I mean, you could have something significant happen right in front of you, and you're not going to notice it because you're in this thick cloud of despair kind of thing. All right. So sometimes they don't come to the family members. They come to friends who are not quite as tied up in their emotions. Not saying I am not, because obviously, as everybody knows, I have been. But there was a situation where I had a friend many years ago who we were out doing some things, and her friend apparently choked on some food and was in the hospital on a machine that was keeping her heart and lungs going, but she was brain dead. And so we were on our way down to see this friend and stopped in a motel for the night. And while I was there, this lady came to me, not to her good friend. Matter of fact, this was her only friend, actually. And the lady who died did not come to my friend. She came to me. And again, it was because of this thick despair and that kind of thing. So she told me the message, and then I told her friend, the lady that I was with, I said, your friend came to me last night. And she got angry at me. She said, why would she come to you and not to me? Well, I just explained why. So I'll leave it at that, everybody. I hope this was a little bit enjoyable and maybe a nice little talk for a Saturday morning. A little less, or a little different than the situation last night. And my battery will die again, so I gotta go. All right, you all take care. I'll turn this around so I can say bye to you. Again, I thank everybody who's been here helping us through this. I can just imagine, and I do imagine. I imagine my wife Carol and Bettina talking on the other side and laughing about how silly I can be, and I can be pretty silly. All right, everybody, you all take care out here for now.